and welcome back to the Unfiltered Sports Weekly. I'm the Beeb.
I'm Cab.
St. Joe in the hizzy.
You know what, Kev? I'm glad you're back. You want to know why?
Why is that?
My wife
Thank you,
told
by the
me.
way.
My wife told me a joke, and I'm like, I got to tell that on the air to Kev.
Oh,
Okay.
God.
Here we go.
My wife looks at me dead in the face and says, "Brandon, what did one saggy boob say to the other?"
I'm almost afraid to ask.
It said, "If we don't get support soon, people are going to think we're nuts."
All right, folks. That's it for the week.
And ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna take another week off.
Yep. That is it.
I've been waiting for you to come back just so I can tell that joke.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. You could have texted it to me.
No.
No. But that's cool.
Now everybody knows it. And we get the full reaction.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But I do have I have a feel-good story to tell.
Okay.
It just happened. So it's short, promise. And it's
just
about
like
sports.
just like your podcasts.
Oh, yeah.
Yikes.
The last two have been longer. Have you noticed?
Yeah, they have been.
Anyway, so
you
tonight,
notice I never give you shit about short podcasts.
You shouldn't.
Right, I shouldn't.
That's right.
Yeah.
So anyway, tonight was my son's last football game.
Okay.
And he's the kicker on a very bad team. Okay. Which means he only gets in like one play a game. Right. And that's just to kick the ball off to the other team at like halftime. Well, tonight, for the first time all year, we were playing the same team we had played before in the final game, and they still hadn't scored a point. And every now and again, and forgive my language because I don't curse a lot, but every now and again, you need a player to say, you know what, fuck this. I'm going to go and I'm going to change stuff.
That's recorded.
All right, that's recorded. And I watched. So tonight, my son at the half got into the game for the first time. And at the half, he did the kickoff, right? And the guy received it and then proceeded to head down the field, and no one was tackling him. And my son was that kid who said, you know what, fuck this. And he ran the kid down and decleated him like
Nice.
a linebacker.
Nice.
First time all season.
Nice.
And after that, his team fed off that energy and almost came back and won the game.
Wow.
They scored their first points of the season.
Wow.
And then they did it again and almost did it again. And they lost by 6 points tonight. So just letting you guys know that sometimes, doing one good thing can lead to many other good things.
Sure.
Especially in the world of sports. Momentum is everything, even in junior high football. So there's your feel-good story. Thought I'd bring it out. Considering the Jags are in the mud.
Jags
congrats there, Bears fan.
Bears.
They looked. It was tough. I was deciding to see if I wanted to see kickoff or my wife start the marathon, and it was tough. But
I thought about you watching that game, and if it would have been, you're a lot classier than me because you only made one comment. I would have fucking been commenting the whole fucking game at you, but I do. I've been keeping a lot of comments to myself. However, that ends right now. And I do want to send a comment. I appreciate Mr. J. Burke for coming on in my stead last week. However, I have never in my life rooted for the LA Dodgers until 2 days ago. Because I cannot bring myself. You can NL East me all you want. You can hey, we clinched on the same day so the Braves could have the same thing. It's not about the Braves. It's about not wanting a fucking Subway Series, man.
And that's where it looks like it's going.
Fucking kill myself.
Yeah.
I believe in the Dodgers. I believe in Ohtani. I believe in Jack Flaherty. I believe in those guys, and fuck the Mets, man. And the only good thing the Mets have done all season long was they dispatched of the fucking Phillies.
Yep.
Other than that, if there was another terrorist attack, I mean, seriously, could we get like Ebola in their locker room or something to that effect? I mean, but I just think I think in a 7-game series, the Dodgers are going to be too much for them. They got too many bats, but I just don't want a Subway Series. And I'll tell you this, it's cleaning up for Fox because Fox wins either way. The Yankees are probably going to sweep the Guardians, right?
Which is crazy.
Yeah, I mean, didn't the Guardians have the best record in baseball?
Yeah.
Well, I'm pretty sure. And
I mean, I'm watching it right now. The Yankees are up 3-0.
Yeah, so they're going to take a 2-0 lead in that series, should they win tonight. And so Fox is going to have the Yankees, which they want, and they're either going to have a Yankees Dodgers, coast versus coast, two storied franchises, or they're going to get a Subway Series.
Nobody wants a Subway Series.
I don't even want. Do you know how hard it is for me to watch a Dodgers Mets game?
Did you?
Dude, I watched 2 of them.
Oh.
I mean, dude,
I'm watching a Yankees Cleveland game.
Those are the 2 teams that in the past 10 years or in this Braves 70-year run that either one or both of them have been the nemesis of the fucking Braves, with all due respect to the Phillies that I give no respect to because they're fucking gay. Sorry.
Welcome back, Keb. We've missed you.
That's funny.
Somebody asked me today, where have you been?
Oh, yeah?
You're going to love the answer that I gave them.
Okay.
You might not. St. Joe will chuckle. My wife thought it was highly inappropriate. She says, don't tell that on air. So I'm going to absolutely tell it on air.
Mm-hmm.
I said, where have you been? And I said, well, I've been trying to eradicate myself of a disease that last year killed as many people as Catholic priests fucked little boys.
Jesus. It's just wrong.
Once again, that's at Keblibs, KEBLIVES.
Oh, you fuckers. Even on Nailed It. I had nothing to do but listen to you motherfuckers. Okay. Even on Nailed It.
He's reap what we've sowed.
Yeah, fucking Nailed It. He's giving out my fucking he's fucking saying something, but I did enjoy Mr. Big Man, by the way. That documentary. I realized because I remember all that happening.
Yeah, exactly. That's the reason I liked it a lot too, because I remember everything they were talking about.
What? And this is kind of sports related. Okay.
Hey, by the way, St. Joe, I want to point out to you, and you kind of said this, but I'm gonna say it outright. Wrestling is not fake; it's scripted.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, they and what you brought up was, and I'll point you to the Richard Belzer thing. When he called it fake. Oh yeah, how fake does this feel?
Right.
Right.
When he choked the guy out. Oh my gosh, that was the craziest thing. I didn't even know that had happened. Yeah. And then what's his face getting slapped? John Stossel. Holy crap! I didn't even know that happened. I was like, oh.
Yeah, and he got hit hard. And he was like, what do you think about this? Does this feel good to you?
Does this feel fake to you?
Wham,
one thing that kind of predates all that happening is really with Vince McMahon Sr. with the whole territories thing. Back in the day, like you had the NWA, which was the precursor to the WCW, right? Mm-hmm. But you also had like Memphis wrestling, and that was like the wrestling capital of the country. And you had this king, had Jerry Lawler was the king, right?
Jerry Lawler,
right.
And a comedian named Andy Kaufman McMahon went down there, and there
He
was a
did.
whole big ruse, and they actually went on the David Letterman show, and Lawler
did.
slapped him on on air, but that was all part of the
Show.
ruse to sell tickets to get people to come to this match,
Yeah.
which, by the way, was sold out.
Yeah, 100%. If you watch The Man in the Moon,
Yeah,
it's all part of it. It's a great movie too, but it was it was all part of Andy Kaufman's stick, and it was I mean, it just did great. But yeah, it
but
was.
that was the territory thing that they were talking about,
Mm-hmm.
where Vince McMahon just said, "You know what? Fuck this.
Yeah,
I'm going national."
yeah.
Right.
And
You
his
know, I
dad's
mean,
like, "Are you sure?" And he's like, "Yeah, why not?"
he didn't give a fuck who he pissed off.
No, no. And I love the fact that he set a wrestling match in Tampa, and he's like, "No, people will be there." And he didn't even have the rights to do it, but he did it. And it's like, that's awesome.
And he had the class to say, like when WCW brought Hogan in and turned Hogan bad,
Yeah.
he had the class to say that was a genius move.
Yeah,
You know?
he was a chameleon. He adapted to a lot of different
Yeah.
things. I give him credit, good or bad. He kind of saw, and that's why I think when that show, I think it was great when they're like asking people and say what was his legacy, and they're like, I don't know, and
I
then
need to
leave it
ask somebody
to
else.
yeah, exactly. But lead it to um oh, who ended up saying it was the ECW guy that ended up saying he's the best promoter in the world. And
Yeah.
I think that's probably the right
Yeah.
answer, is that he
Yeah.
really was. He saw the genius in selling the ticket, and he was a businessman, and he did what it took to be a businessman. And it was great. I really enjoyed the series. I thought they did a good job, and they portray him in a certain way, sure, but I mean, I think they did a good job of kind of giving him a little, but it was a documentary for one reason and one reason only, and they did a good job. But
What they didn't do is like show like home movies, you know,
exactly,
of him being, you know, like a
yeah,
dad
never
on
would have done
Christmas
that.
morning.
right,
Yeah.
He
right.
never
You
would have
know,
done that.
They didn't show the good side of the WWE, where like they have like Connor it's not Conor McGregor, but there's a wrestler, Connor. They did something for a kid with cancer named Connor,
yeah.
and they've done all these things with really, really good things. But that
Well,
has a lot to do with Stephanie McMahon.
they're big with the what's that charity that
Make a
like
Wish.
Make a Wish.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
They're big with those guys.
yeah,
Yeah, because I mean all these kids that watch wrestling, you know, I want to meet The Rock.
yeah,
You know,
exactly. Yeah,
Who doesn't?
yeah.
you know,
But it
but
was
yeah, I mean,
cool.
you know,
I
but
thought they did a good job.
I thought it was really a well put together, you know, usually about episode 3 of those things, I'm like, meh, you know,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I had to see
but-
what happened. You know, I had to see the
Yeah.
rest of the train wreck. But like the first 2 episodes, I think I texted St. Joe last night. The first 2 episodes of that series brought back so much nostalgia for me.
yeah.
Of course,
And
yeah,
I don't know if they got into the WCW in the 3rd episode, but all of that's all the way to the WCW. I was like completely glued to the TV. Like I
yeah,
was like, holy crap, so many memories are coming back. Like when they switched over to the Attitude Era, that's when I started watching the WCW, because that's when Hogan
Yeah.
became
right,
Monday Night Nitro. Yeah.
right.
and you could watch it live and they'd give you what happened.
Yeah.
They'd give you the
I think
highlights
that
of
was
WWF.
Eric. That was the genius of Eric Bischoff. That was
And
just
like,
hilarious.
and I just remember watching it when Hogan turned bad and created the NWO. We were glued to our seats. We wanted
Yeah.
so bad for that
Yeah.
group of guys to lose, and they never would.
But then
Well,
they came back to WWE and they were DMX. I mean, it was basically the same thing.
Right.
So,
I remember watching, because I was in Gainesville at the height of Monday Night Nitro, and I remember watching. We would like, because nothing goes on in a college town on Monday night, and we would be, you know, watching you know, at the house that we rented, and I remember I'm like, is that Razor Ramon that just came out of the crowd? You
yeah,
know,
exactly.
and I'm like, And then I'm like, dude, that's Diesel. And then they flashed, Kevin Hall, and you never really paid attention to, or Kevin Nash, and you never really paid attention to his real name,
Right.
Right.
and I'm like, okay. But Vince McMahon had it right. That was the everything in name. That was Razor Ramon, and
Yeah.
Diesel and everything
Yeah.
but name, and I think it was 3 weeks that they teased that there was a third guy,
Yeah.
that was gonna. And I
Yeah.
think it was 3 weeks, and I mean the other genius that they didn't really get into on this because it didn't really matter, but there's a documentary on Hulu called the history of the WCW, and
Yeah.
they get into this was when they introduced Goldberg,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
and
Goldberg was
and
everything.
the who's next,
Mhm.
and all that.
Mhm.
Nitro. I mean, what'd they say? 83 weeks.
83 weeks. That's the name of
That
Eric's Bischoff's
yeah,
podcast.
that they were number one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, I was more of a WCW guy because I was more I like Hogan as much as the next guy, but I was a big Ric Flair and Sting and
Yeah, exactly.
But I felt like the
TBS guy.
WCW seemed to care at the time anyway, seemed to care more about the wrestling, if that makes any sense, than the story.
Right.
Because I remember watching the WWF because at the time they're going through the Attitude Era and they would spend so much time with a microphone talking in the middle of the ring.
Yeah.
Right.
They would never have like an actual match, right?
Yeah.
And so like I get it, you wanna do all the storyline stuff or whatever, but it just felt like they didn't wrestle hardly. And then you switch over to the WCW and they would have a match. They, of course, at the end of every episode, they would have, the NWO standing out in the middle of they'd have that final match of the night. It was the big match, and it would always get interrupted by the NWO. They would always come out
Sure.
and somebody would jack with the show, jack with the final match or something like that.
Yeah.
It would never turn out well. Not the way you wanted to. They always did a great job. But yeah, that show, I would say, yeah, that was one of the best documentaries I've watched in a while.
Yeah. It was good. I liked it. I liked it a lot for sure. But
I think Vince McMahon is Mr. McMahon? Like, do I think they're separate people, or do you think, I'm going to say separate people, do you think one's an act and like he's a completely different person off stage, or do you think they're the same person?
I think they're exactly the same person.
And I think there's a lot of truth in jest.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think there is too. I think I get the feeling he really is that person.
I think I think it started off being two different people, but I think one became the same because they fueled each other. And it just kind of led into everything in between. And unfortunately for him, it led into a lot of bad things. But I mean, the guy, a lot of things bounced off of him, but then a lot of things caught up to him. So,
Right.
but
Well, I mean, I call that a sports doc, sort of.
Yeah.
I still need to watch the Pete Rose documentary on HBO.
Yeah, I haven't watched that either because my opinion is too high on the situation, and it's not going to change. I read something the other day with, they're not even posthumously going to put them in.
Well,
It was a permanent ban, not a lifetime ban.
yeah, it was a
and,
permanent ban.
So
I know.
Whatever.
I think eventually, it'll get
whatever.
there, but
Me
yeah.
and St. Joe had a little bit of a discussion about that while you were away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he'll get in, but
I do
it's a
too, but
slap
it'll
in
be
the
like,
face.
I think it'll be 30 years from now, and they'll change their stance. Rob Manfred will have to step down as commissioner first. I think that's what's.
Well,
gonna
I
happen.
think all the commissioners have like a butt buddy deal of, I'm not going to stop fucking you until, if you put Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame, our relationship is over. No more roses for you, motherfucker. Kind of deal.
Well,
Well, I
that's
got an
one
update
viewpoint.
for you, Keb.
Yeah, what you got?
We
What
got
you got?
Cleveland's got the bases loaded. They've already scored one.
Okay.
Top of the fifth.
Don't get me wrong. I'm rooting for Cleveland.
Me too.
Yeah,
I would love to see Cleveland win a World Series.
dude. I swear, I want my World Series is I wanted the Indian Guardians versus the Padres.
Yeah, I
You
thought the
know,
Padres would do better. but
because I want them to shut the fuck up that neither of them have won the World Series. So if one of them wins, that takes one, out that, oh, they never won one, because how long did we hear about the fucking Cubs?
Right.
And, and before that, I mean, the Red Sox, Jesus Christ,
Yeah.
and, oh, the Indians have never won. They've come close. No, they didn't come close. They got beat.
Yeah.
They
By the
got beat.
Cubs.
Well, they had the Marlins in 97. Okay.
That's
Well,
true.
they got beat by the Braves in 95. And then they had the Marlins in 97, who they had beat and let them come back
They
on
were
them in the
definitely
bottom of
they
the
were
ninth.
They were definitely better than the Marlins.
Yeah. And then they had the Cubs beat, who came back on them in the bottom of the ninth,
Right.
or in the bottom of the eighth. Top of the ninth. Sorry.
I can tell you, if history has anything to do with it, the person that beats the Brewers in the series wins
The World
wins
Series.
the World Series.
Again, fuck the Mets.
Yeah. So I mean,
mean,
I don't hope that's not true, but I mean, yeah.
dude, if they play the Yankees, I'm gonna have to kill myself because I have no one to root for.
I just it's going to be a long baseball season if that happens, but
I mean, I tried to imagine the fucking painful life that a Mets or Yankees fan has. I mean, just the always getting turned down by women, getting their puppies kicked all the time, bullies when they were a kid, slamming them into fucking lockers, so they just spend the night standing upright, I mean, just painful. It's almost like the painful loss that Oklahoma had.
oh god,
That was
they
a
just
drubbing.
got ripped. It wasn't even a game.
No, it was not. And
Yeah.
I'll be the first to tell you that. I watched the whole thing, unfortunately. I think once we hit halftime, I was telling my wife, like, at halftime, just before they scored, they got 24 points before half. And the last touchdown they scored, I was like, I don't think we can score on them. So this game's already over. It's like, we might as well just change the channel. Like, this game's already over. I already know how it's going to end. And she's like, shut up. I don't want to talk about this anymore. It's like, clearly a couple things. None of our receivers are ever open, or our quarterback is only looking at one option and just running. And that's essentially what happened the whole game. I think our offensive coordinator needs to get fired. That's one thing. But I think also the other thing I realized was we don't have a bad defense. And Texas basically looked like they could do whatever they want.
Well, they did.
And
They're good. They're good.
I think we were staring, not to say that Oklahoma's defense is like the best in the world, because it's not, but I think it is an SEC ready defense. Because of the way they played against Auburn at Auburn. But what I think is Texas is just probably the best team right now.
Texas is
So Oklahoma has Alabama this week.
No.
Well, I mean, now's the time to get Alabama.
Yeah, I mean,
Alabama didn't look that
they're
good.
definitely gettable.
Yeah.
I think. Well, I wouldn't want to play Alabama after that loss. We just don't have.
Oh no, they beat South Carolina, but barely.
No, I'm talking about. I wouldn't want to play Alabama after losing to Texas like that. I think we have South Carolina.
Texas, Georgia's this weekend, right?
Right, Texas,
That's
Georgia.
Yeah, good game. That's gonna be a good game.
That's the game of the week. But we have South Carolina. That might be a winnable game. Might be.
Oh. That's the game. The team nobody wants to play is South Carolina.
Yeah.
They're
for sure.
They're scrappy.
I wouldn't want to play them at South Carolina ever. I would not want to play at South Carolina, but they went to Alabama.
Yeah.
And almost beat Alabama. which tells me they don't really have a passing game, and still, so either Alabama doesn't have a defense, or South Carolina's better than everybody thinks, and I think that's it. I think South Carolina's good, and I think we're unfortunately going to find that out this weekend.
You got Alabama and Tennessee. I mean, that's a good game.
By the way, I was going to tell you that Florida really looks better.
Oh, we always play Tennessee tough. You know, that's kind of our Super Bowl because Villa Napier is a dead man walking. But I mean, there are many things. It's kind of like Jaguar game when you dissect it. I mean, everybody's like, you know, there are things throughout any football game that you watch that you're just like, hey, if this would have zigged and not zagged, or you know, if this would have gone this way and all that. But I just think that there's a handful of things in the Gator game to where you're like, okay, if that wouldn't have happened,
we would have won.
You know, like calling a jet sweep on 4th and 1.
Gosh. Why do they do that?
You know, I mean, fucking run it up the gut. Fucking put Lagway in 6'3", 240. Put Lagway in and let him fucking run it up the middle, under center, and just go. You know, not just jet sweep with Trey Wilson, who I could have told you they were eyeing him the minute he came into the game. They're going to give it to Wilson. They're going to give it to Wilson. Guess what? They gave it to Wilson. You know, I mean, that right there, fumbling the fucking football on the 1 yard line.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
that's a problem. That's a mistake.
You know, I don't know if you've heard, but Graham Mertz is out for the year.
What?
Yeah,
that's actually for me. I hate to say it because he's a better passer right now, but I think DJ Lagway's the best quarterback right now.
I mean, he will be. I think right now, he doesn't have the experience. He's certainly got the fucking arm, and
I'll tell you what, you guys. I mean, like, you guys had two pretty good quarterbacks. They're both better than the quarterbacks we have at Oklahoma.
Now, mark my words, through this gauntlet of Texas or Kentucky, Georgia, Texas, and LSU, mark my words, we take Kentucky out. Georgia, Texas, and LSU. We will beat one of them.
Yeah, that's probably true.
We will beat one of them. It always happens.
I'm going to guess that happens with most SEC teams. I bet that happens.
You know, the only shock of the entire season that I'm sitting here is that how the fuck did we not lose to UCF? You know?
Yeah.
Well, how about this? Vanderbilt plays Texas. Wouldn't that be something?
They don't play them until when?
Week 9.
Week 9.
The week after. But
dude, if Vandy beats Texas, every Vandy player needs to go play the fucking lottery. If they beat Alabama and Texas in the same year,
I'm just saying that's coming up.
They're going to build statues of that coach.
I mean, they got to dig the field goal out of the river, but
right.
Yeah, and it's in Vanderbilt, so that could be.
There were more people marching that damn upright down Broadway in Nashville than there were Vanderbilt fans at the fucking game. That thing was like all Alabama, man.
How about the Oregon-Ohio State game? That's a good game.
Dan Lanning is who I want to be the Gators coach, and
I don't think you're going to get him.
He's smart, man. That 12 men on the field, he won't say that he did that on purpose, but he did that on purpose. Because
you think he's going to NFL? You think he'll go NFL?
I don't know, man.
Pretty young still.
Yeah. He could be the next coach of a lot of teams.
The Jaguars,
yeah.
I don't. You think?
I think that's a bad move for anybody. I think the Jaguars, if they're ever going to be successful, they got to get a new ownership.
You think Peterson's job's in jeopardy?
I think Trent Baalke's definitely is. I mean, if you look at, we had 13 draft picks, and outside of Brian Thomas Jr., can you name another one?
No,
Nobody can.
no.
So I mean, let's talk about the Jags here for a second. In this game that we just utterly got embarrassed for the second time this season on national TV.
Yeah.
Only game on. Second time. So we're the only game on, like we
Yeah.
were on Monday night, like we were this Sunday, and like we are this coming Sunday.
Yeah.
We tend to get embarrassed. Everybody wants to blame the quarterback. This game, it wasn't Trevor.
No, Trevor actually had a decent
Trevor
game.
hit 4 or 3 receivers for 4 touchdowns in the numbers, and they all were dropped.
Yeah.
That's 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
You know, only one of which we came away with point, which
Yeah,
was
Gabe
the
Davis.
first Gabe Davis drop on the first
Yeah.
drive. You know, so yeah, I saw defensive players jogging after
Mhm.
Connect, you know,
Mhm.
who I fucking should have played in fantasy. You know, that made Caleb Williams look like a not shitty quarterback, which I
Yeah.
believe he still is. You know, I think he's worse than Sam Darnold.
Who's
You
actually
know,
pretty freaking good right now. But
yeah, but if you have Jordan Jefferson's, you know, pretty easy to be good.
And
you know,
Atkins.
yeah, and
man, I think we've had this conversation before. Name
You
a
know.
really good quarterback that didn't have good weapons. Name one.
Trevor Lawrence. Yeah, I mean, you know, his receivers can get open. They just if you hit them in the
can't catch.
hands, they can't fucking catch. What the fuck? I mean, that's you know what? When I was in high school and you had receivers that couldn't catch, you know what they became? They became defensive backs.
That's right.
You know,
Nope.
the defensive
That's right.
backs are wide receivers that can't catch. You know,
Yeah.
that's why they play defense. And you know, put Christian Kirk's short ass over there. You know, and fight. Gabe Davis
Where's
caught 2
that guy been?
touchdowns. Yeah, Gabe Davis caught 2 touchdowns. I had him on my bench. I have that guy on my team. He had 25 points. I was like, "Fuck you, I'm not
Yeah.
playing you."
No, he hasn't
You
done
know?
anything. I
To
played the
merit-
guy.
Yeah.
I played a guy in another fantasy league, and he had all Jags, and I mean, I beat him, but I mean, he had 4 Jaguars on his team, and I'm like, yeah, that was horrible.
Is that guy a fucking idiot?
I mean, yeah, he hasn't won a game all
Dude,
season. So
I started Trevor Etienne. He gave me -1 points.
Yeah.
Thank
Yep.
God I have Alvin Kamara.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
I have
I
a
mean,
funny story
negative
for you
points
guys
for him,
about.
too.
So I was playing your boy this week,
Yep.
St. Joe.
Yeah.
And I was ahead by like half a point going into
Yep.
the game last night.
Yep.
And he had the Jets defense.
Yep.
And I was like, I got into the fourth quarter. I'm like, actually looking solid. You know what I mean? Like, I have a chance here. Like, if the Jets, like, I don't know, if they give up another touchdown, they're going to be at 0, and I'll win. But in the end, they didn't give up a touchdown. They gave up a field goal, and he ended up with 1 point.
Yeah, he just needed half a
By
point.
like half a point.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was like, dang it.
I was the same kind of way where on one league I needed like, I don't know, I needed a couple points or something, and I had the Bills defense, and that's what won it for me. But it's so stupid. But
I do think you don't think Doug Peterson gets fired? They lose one more game.
no, I don't think he does.
I mean,
What if they go? What if we only end up with like 3 wins this year?
I think Doug Peterson is fine. I think Mike McCarthy is getting fired for sure.
Oh yeah, dude.
Cowboys is gone. I think the Eagles coach.
What is going on with the Cowboys?
Eagles coach might get fired. Sirianno. He might get fired. I think.
Well, he's bitching at fans in the crowd.
Yeah, he might get fired. I think. Who knows what's going to happen with Carolina? They're just a dumpster fire. I don't know.
I mean, New England's not good either.
New England's not. But
somebody's going to be 2-5.
Yeah, New England. They're rebuilding. There's, I don't know.
Just so everybody knows, I got the standings here for the Unfiltered Studios Podcast Network Fantasy Football League here.
I'm at the bottom.
And
I'm at the bottom.
the number one ranked team is the Zeb at 5-1.
Yeah.
And next
He
to
crushed me this week.
next
He
to
had like
is
187 points.
yeah,
I saw
yeah,
that
he had
score.
a
I was like,
lot.
what the
Yeah.
hell? I can't
Yeah.
even get
Yeah.
over 110.
And dude,
Yeah.
he's 17 and he will let you know all fucking day too. You know,
Yeah.
and you're just like, dude, don't talk anymore. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, unless you want me to, I will fucking take my new threat is that I will take and hide the power cord to your Xbox. Yeah, you know, like it used to be turn off the Wi-Fi,
Yeah.
you know, or change the Wi-Fi password. And he's like, then you can't watch TV. No, my TV is hardwired into the modem, dude. Anyhow, so number 2, you have Elijah's excellent what team, whatever. He's at 4-2. Number 3, look at that coming from the depths of Keb Pool at 3-3. St.
Nice.
Joe at 3-3.
Yeah.
Bryant's better team at 3-3. Bottom Slammers at 3-3. That's Mr. Thizzler. Rance Radicals at 3-3. Habitual Line Steppers, who we thought was going to run away with it, at 3-3. Penguins Revenge, part of the Keb Pool and the Zeb family, they're at 2-4. And Finding Your Victory.
I gotta find it somewhere.
He's still
It's
looking for
lost.
it. He's still looking
It's
for
lost.
it. Him and the Jaguars both 1-5.
Unbelievable.
That said, in the
Yeah.
last 2 weeks, I got my first win, and I was actually close to winning the last one. So I feel better than I
Yeah.
did.
Yeah.
I had to make some major lineup changes, though.
Okay. Well, if you wanted to have some fun.
No.
Since we're talking about fantasy football,
Oh, yeah.
let's think back. Let's go back 1995. 1995 forward.
Okay, Beeps
right.
was like 10.
That's
Yeah.
true. I was 12.
From 1995 forward, if we're going top 25, if I have it here.
I love where this is going. I
top
love where this is going.
25 best fantasy football players.
Okay.
And who do you think they are?
Okay,
95?
95 forward.
All
All right. Now, Beebs, I know you haven't been playing fantasy football very long,
No, I don't.
but
No.
if you think, just statistically, let's just think of it on if,
Marshall Falk.
running backs get more points than
Hey, he's
Marshall
probably-
Falk.
He's probably in there.
Okay. So
I bet he's
if
top
you would-
21. Marshall Falk.
If you would draft your team just based off of, things like that, who do you think Marshall Falk is number one?
No, I just think he's in the top 21.
Well, Marshall Falk is number one.
Oh, is he? Okay. I wondered because he was like your best, what was he? Your best two-way player? Not two-way, but like total yardage or total yards gained player of all
Yep.
time. Is that right?
He had 1,000 yards plus yards, both as a runner and a receiver.
Right. Greatest show on turf.
Yep.
Right.
Marshall Falk, number one. All right. Kev, who do you think is number two?
It could be a number of people.
I don't know who number 2 is.
I'm gonna go with. I'm reaching here. Okay, answer me this: is number 2 still playing?
A lot of these players are no longer playing.
I'm gonna go with LaDainian Tomlinson.
LaDainian Tomlinson is number 2. Another great running back. Again, a lot of.
I'm just trying to think of people who scored a lot.
That is correct, and you got to think catching the ball, running the ball. A lot.
Darren Sproles.
A lot of. Well, LaDainian Tomlinson was Chargers, so Darren Sproles would not be a good pick because he was Chargers as well.
Yeah, but he came after.
I wonder where Randy Moss falls on that list.
Randy Moss is number 3.
Wow.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Does that mean Tom Brady's on the list too?
He's got to be.
He has to be. He had a 50 touchdown season.
Yeah, he's got to be.
So
and Peyton Manning's got to be on that list somewhere.
And Breeze probably.
And Marvin Harrison.
Are you sure?
Really?
I would think Brady and maybe not Manning, but Brady and Drew Brees would be on there.
Well, think hard before you say that.
Is Brady really not on the list?
You got to think fantasy football players.
Okay. Well, I mean, he had a 50 fucking touchdown season.
He did.
So, I mean, they were fucking undefeated until the fucking Super Bowl.
Well,
you know, and they weren't. That's another great documentary. Watch the Dynasty on Apple Plus for 2 weeks. I had nothing to fucking do but watch fucking shit. Watch the Dynasty on Apple Plus.
I agree with you that they should be on this list. But there's one quarterback on this list.
Really? Daggum. I wonder who that is.
Now you got to think about it when you look at it. I would say consistently, I could see that this quarterback, as far as fantasy football points,
is it Matt Stafford?
No.
Well, I heard he was a fantasy monster.
They would have fantasy football this quarter. There's quarterbacks that would have great years, like Peyton Manning. Tom Brady was statistically not a good fantasy football.
Wow. Strange.
He would have years, but
are you saying is the quarterback on there still playing?
No. In fact, he just got diagnosed with a very bad disease.
Was it? It's not Jim Kelly, is it?
Nope.
Don't know.
Plays for the Packers.
Played.
Brett Favre.
Brett Favre.
Favre. Sorry,
is number 4. Favre. He's one of the most consistent fantasy football quarterbacks from 1995 on.
Interesting.
Which is unbelievable that is it.
So we're talking over the course of their entire career, not just
correct.
Like top season. Okay.
And then from the rest on, it is all receivers and running backs.
What about?
And I will tell you that right now on this list that I'm looking at.
What was his name?
There's not anyone that's playing right now.
He went to Alabama. God damn it! What was his name? Played for the Seahawks. Sean Alexander.
So I think I saw him down here. Let's see. Let me see if I see Sean Alexander. Yes, Sean Alexander is number 6.
Hey, what about I know you said Falk, right, Beebs?
Yeah.
What about Edgerrin James?
Not Edgerrin James is not on here, but there is another Colt. Oh no, I'm sorry, Edgerrin James is on here. He's number 9.
Okay. And then
his kid just got drafted. Plays for Arizona. Marvin Harrison. Yep.
Okay. I mentioned him earlier because we said Peyton Manning was like if Peyton Manning's on there.
I can't believe that. You know who scored a fuckload of touchdowns? What about Emmitt Smith?
Emmitt Smith is on here.
Yeah.
Emmitt Smith is
95 on, yeah.
Yeah.
Jerry Rice on that list?
Smith. No, Emmitt Smith. Where's Emmitt Smith? Emmitt Smith is down.
Jerry Rice kind of came in at the end of the fantasy era. Or I mean, his career was at the end of his career was at.
Emmitt Smith is number 15.
St. Joe, I'm gonna take a stab at this, okay? Mm-hmm. Now, you're probably Beebs, you're gonna laugh at me here.
Is Chris Carter on that list?
That's a good one too. He's got to be on that list, Chris Carter.
All he did was catch touchdowns.
Number 12.
Well, Jerry Rice wasn't on the list, but Chris Carter.
Jerry Rice is not, but there is a San Francisco 49er on that list.
T.O. Yeah.
T.O. Yeah.
Well, if Chris Carter's on that list, then there's a running back out of KC named Priest Holmes.
That is correct.
Got to be on that list.
Yes.
What about? Okay, just hear me out here. Okay, don't throw anything at me. Just hear me out. But what about Jimmy Smith from the Jags?
He is on there.
Oh, there we go.
Yep.
Fred
Jimmy
Taylor.
Smith is on there.
He scored a lot.
Jimmy Smith is on there as the Jags. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, the
sorry,
dude
there
from, the
is
guy
one-
from Detroit, Calvin Johnson.
No.
But what about
What?
what about Barry Sanders?
Barry Sanders.
Okay.
He's number
That's
20.
95 on, though.
Number 20 for Barry Sanders.
You know who
That's
scored a
unbelievable.
lot too, and this might not
Ricky
be
Waters?
on there.
I'm sorry, there is 2 other quarterbacks on here.
Well, okay, here's one. Pride of UCF, Dante Culpepper.
That's correct. Dante
Yeah, he threw
Culpepper.
he threw to Chris Carter.
He scored a
Yep.
lot.
Yep.
He was also one of the first. Him and Mike Vick were one of the first. Really, Randall Cunningham, really one of the first running quarterbacks.
As I was paging down, I was like, "Oh, yep, there is more quarterbacks," but they were so far down.
I'm surprised that
missing-
What about like
McNair, because he ran a lot? No.
Nope.
what about one of those receivers from the Rams, like Torrey Holt or somebody like that?
You're on the right track. There's I
Yeah.
don't. It's not. Torrey Holt. You're right. That was it. Torrey Holt.
That was the
Wes
greatest
Welker.
show on turf.
I
Wes
want to
Welker.
say Isaac Bruce was on here too, but
Is Wes Welker on the list?
Isaac Bruce was the other one. Wes Welker is not on the list.
Hey, I got a Patriot for you. I got one for you. You ready?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. If Priest Holmes is on that list, and a guy
Yep.
named Curtis Martin should be
Oh,
on that
yeah.
list.
Let me go up.
He was a pretty good running back in the 90s. For sure.
That's a
He
Patriot for you.
is
He also played
yes.
for I think he also played for the Jets.
Curtis Martin is there.
Yeah.
You said Chris Carter. You're missing a big
Tiki Barber.
Tiki Barber is on
Yep.
there. Yep. You're missing 2 huge targets. Both one's an announcer.
That narrows it the fuck down.
And
Yeah.
the position is tight end.
Witten.
No.
Nope.
Tony Gonzalez.
Tony Gonzalez.
Hmm.
And the other same tight end.
Played for Carolina.
Nope. I can't give you the team because it gives it away.
Okay. Did he play for more than one team?
He played for more than one team. And I believe he won a Super Bowl on both. Let me check. Let me think about that. He won a Super Bowl on one for
Gronk?
sure.
Does he now have a very provocative podcast and was
it
caught
Gronk?
doing something dirty on Instagram?
He has a very popular talk show.
Yeah, Shannon Sharp.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. He was essentially a receiver.
Did he win one with Baltimore?
I'm
so.
not. Was he on that 2000 team where they played the Giants?
I think so.
I think he
with
might have won
Trent
with
Dilfer at quarterback.
Yeah.
I think he did win one with Baltimore, and he definitely won one with Denver. So you said Emmett. You said Ricky Waters.
Oh, there's a running back on Denver. What was his name?
Priest Home.
Terrell Davis.
Terrell Davis.
Yeah.
Yep. And you're
He
missing
was an incredible running back.
One more huge running back.
One more huge running back.
Same team as Davis.
Broncos
team
running
as-
back?
Yep.
Huh?
And then he played for the Redskins as well.
Is he old?
He's old.
So he was pre Terrell Owens.
He was with Terrell Owens. He was his backup. He might have been his fullback.
This is a dumb question. Is Jerome Bettis on the list?
Nope, he's not.
Wow. Shocking.
You're not talking about Clinton Portis, are you?
Yes.
Clinton
It's
Portis.
Clint Portis.
Yep.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yep.
You ever see his injury at Miami? It was like almost like Aiden Hutchinson's injury the other day, right? And it's like look away.
And then there's a quarterback and a running back, and this running back I can see as far as fantasy points. I would have not got this running back. The quarterback I can see. quarterback is an Eagles quarterback.
Donovan McNabb.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now the running back is a Packers running back.
Oh,
And I would not have got. I
He was
would not have-
90s or
Staley?
after that. No.
Staley?
No, it's
Nope.
probably Amon Green.
That's
I
right.
Oh,
gather.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I would never have guessed that he was a fantasy. I mean, I can see after looking at the stats that he had here and doing it. But
Scored a lot of touchdowns. with
yeah, he was pretty consistent with Favre. But I would not. Again, it's one of those, 20 touchdowns, back scrimmage, 2,000 yards, things like that. But I mean, he was a beast. But I would not have guessed. Like again, when you're looking at fantasy stats purely in that, I can see. But there's some amazing football players on that list, and if you go through it, I mean, I don't know, I don't have it here, but I would imagine a ton of Hall of Fame players right there, which is crazy. But you're thinking
Yeah.
from 1995 on, there's some giant names on that list, which is crazy. But nobody. So now you talk about like Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, Tom Brady, and all those. Like I said, they all had years that were good,
Yeah.
but not like
They
consistent.
probably threw the ball too many times.
Yeah,
'Cause isn't
so
it-
you'd have weeks that would be
Right.
like, yeah, I scored, like you said, I scored, 50 points one week, and then the next week they scored 12.
To put that into perspective, 1995 was the first year that the Jacksonville Jaguars and Carolina Panthers played football.
Yeah, yeah. So you're not seeing Burnell on there. You're not seeing,
Yeah.
but like,
I'm glad one Jag made it.
yeah, Jimmy Smith, and then
Yeah.
you're looking at like modern day. I would think Mahomes, if you would
Yeah.
update that list to be the last 5 years or things like that, I'm sure Mahomes is up there.
You know who I'm surprised didn't make that list is somebody like Mike Vick.
Yeah, I mean, he was a different breed because like running and
Yeah.
throwing and things like that were definitely I could see, but
Man,
like
do you think
if he were in his prime in today's game,
well, he would be something.
sure,
dude.
He
sure,
was something. Look, if he hadn't gotten arrested,
yeah,
I mean, what do
Yeah.
you think? I mean,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, I think it would have been ridiculous that it's so funny. I saw somebody with a Halloween costume of him has his jersey on and a bunch of skeletons of dogs like holding him down and stuff. It was pretty funny. Some pretty funny things, but yeah.
One of my favorite Ron White stand-up jokes is if all dogs go to heaven, then I think Mike Vick is fucked.
Yeah. yeah, exactly. That's funny.
Right.
Yeah, man. I mean, I like stuff like that. I thought it would be kind of fun. Just thinking because it led perfectly. You talked about fantasy football, and I was like, I was thinking
That was a
about it this
good. That was a
week,
good list. I like
and
that.
I was
list.
like,
Yeah,
man,
yeah, that's a great list.
I like stuff like that where you like look and be like, because so many people. My wife is like, "What are you doing on the phone?" And I'm, she even when I'm done with the marathon, she did great at the marathon, and she's done it. She's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Fantasy football. It's Sunday."
Did she win?
She no, she won in her
No.
mind. She did
Okay.
good. It was Chicago was fun. It was, obviously much cooler, which is nice weather and fun to run around and do stuff and see things, which is great. But
Was it windy?
yes, oddly enough, the Windy City. Do you know why it's called the Windy City?
It's not because it's windy.
Yeah,
It's
not.
yes, I do, but I forgot.
It has to do with politics.
Yeah. It has
Does
nothing
it?
to do with the wind
Yeah.
off of the lake. Yeah, it has nothing to do with it. It's
Bunch of
somebody
hot
like
air that
somebody was a
people,
blowhard. Yeah,
yeah, bunch of
and
hot air that people blow back and forth,
yeah.
which I
I didn't know
found.
that.
It has
I
nothing to do
found
with the wind off of the lake.
No, I
You
found that to be very ironic, especially because our window looked right out at Trump Tower or whatever is there, and I was laughing because I took a bunch of pictures there, and I'm like, I'm gonna send this to a bunch of people to piss them off. But it was fun, and I was like, oh, that makes it even more. And then everywhere we went, we saw the flag of Chicago, not the Bears or anything, but it's like got 3 stars on it. I'm like, what are these 3 stars? And again, that represents the 3 like tragedies that happened in the fire, the
yeah.
I don't know. There's 3 things that happened in Chicago, and
Chicago
my nep-
fire was awful.
yeah, the
I
Chicago.
wonder if one of them recognizes the hate crime on Juicy Smollett. Yeah.
No, probably not. But
No.
he was
No.
telling me that he went to a comedy show and that the comedian said, well, the stars represent this, this, and this. And then he said, well, and then he had 3 other things. He said, well, New York's got the Jets. And he named like teams that had all these things. And he said, I guess it's not that bad. And I'm like,
Well, I mean,
that's awesome.
The 3 stars could represent the 3 wins that the Bears had last year.
No.
Yeah.
Kev, I was just thinking, the most tragic thing about the Juicy Smollett incident was that he had to share a cell with his own attacker.
Yeah. What, himself?
Yeah. He had to share a cell with his own attacker.
Me, myself, and I.
Right.
Idiot.
Yeah. I think it's gonna be funny when that list of who was coordinating with P. Diddy comes out and Juicy Smollett's on that list. I think that's gonna be fucking funny.
You don't think Diddy's gonna die somewhere first?
Number one, I would keep tabs on where Hillary's at. I mean, Hillary, look, in the past 25 years, Democrats, you might want to turn off the what you call, if you're a Hillary lover, you might want to turn this off. But in the past 25 years, she has been constantly in the news. Number one, she was, wife to President Bill Clinton, and so the 42nd president, and then she's senator from New York. How that fucking happened, I don't know. Just poof, you're a senator, and she's not even fucking from New York, and but yet she's a senator from New York. And then you come to the pandemic where Pfizer, Moderna, and all that, they had the vaccines that's laced with Hillary's blood, and all this good stuff. And I mean. She's just inching her way into the fabric of community. It's gonna come out that she was at one of these fucking P. Diddy parties, fucking naked and shit, and fucking,
Jesus. I don't know, man.
Fucking some of these guys running the train on her and shit. I mean,
good Lord.
It's that's a mental picture for you. Sorry, Mama D. And
also your drama for the week.
That's the name of the episode. Is Hillary was Jesse Smollett's cellmate.
Yeah, I mean, they're gonna have that might be another good show that you should watch. Is American Sports Story on FX. It's about Aaron Hernandez. And
I haven't watched that one. It's in the loop to be like, you should watch this, and I'm like, ugh.
The fucking clown that they got to play fucking Urban. And there are 2 parts that they nailed so far. I mean,
the Rob Gronkowski guy.
Rob Gronkowski, they nailed him. And the guy who plays Belichick, they nailed him. The dude who plays Urban, who was a pretty big part of the first half of the of the season, doesn't look anything like him, but talks like him. Like if you close your eyes, that's Urban Meyer. And there's one thing that. One line in there I like. Somebody is like, man, you got the best the 2008 recruiting class where you had Riley Cooper, Aaron Hernandez, the Pouncey twins, I mean, just this fucking great class. And this reporter goes to him, he's like, it's the best recruiting class in the country. And Urban's like, no, it's the best recruiting class in the history of college football. So I'm like, that's Urban right there. We got Urban, but they had Patrick Schwarzenegger playing Tebow.
Interesting.
So,
choice.
They interviewed Gronkowski about the guy that played him, and he goes, well, I know the guy, he's my buddy, and they told him to go like way over the top, and he did. And I'm like, I saw the clip, and I'm like,
he got him
there.
Yeah, he didn't so much look like him, but he had his laugh down, and he had his, kind of the bro way that Gronk carries himself. He had that down, and But the guy at Belichick, just at the draft, he's just sitting back, sipping on his drink, and is like, they're trying to figure out who to draft next. He's like, talking all that low, and he's like, "Well, what about that tight end out of Florida?" And they're like, "Oh man, he's got too much off the field trouble." He's like, "So we pay him $100,000. Worst case scenario, we cut him, and we're out $100,000." And so Bob Kraft is like, "Hey, you got a point." Little did they know he's going to start offing people, and then
Yeah.
he found guilty one night. He's in his fucking cell block. He's on the phone. Next thing you know, Hillary's coming up to visit him, and he kills himself.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I
it's funny
mean,
how all that
everybody,
happens.
yeah, you keep tabs on some people out there.
Keep
You know what I'm
tabs
saying?
on Hillary.
I'm surprised that these 3 assassination attempts on Trump, Hillary hasn't been blamed for any of them.
Wow. I am very curious to see the costumes for Halloween.
Yeah.
There's going to be a lot of P. Diddy costumes, I fear.
You know what? I want to. I'm interested, like out there where you live. I spent some time out there this afternoon. Out
Yeah.
there where you live, it's pretty conservative. Wouldn't you say?
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
interested to see what the Halloween costumes are out there.
There's some interesting ones that happen. I still next week you have to find the clip. You have to find the clip of the tweet of the week, because that's still is my favorite one, where the guy comes up and shows up late.
Yeah, he shows
You
up
have
late.
to-
Yeah.
that is the best Halloween
Well, how about
tweet of the week for
how about
sure.
I just find the tweet?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you have the tweet because
I'll find the tweet. It's in one of these folders.
it
Here.
is
Yeah,
it
I'll find the
is
tweet.
by far one of the Halloween costume or whatever one my favorite tweet that comes up. You have to have it next week for
Well,
sure,
it's not next week; it's the week after, right? That'd be
or
Halloween
whatever,
episode, right?
because that is by far one of my favorite ones that we talk about almost every year and bring it up, and that's just hilarious. Reeves knows exactly which one I'm talking about.
I do.
And that's great.
No,
But
I feel you. I feel you. That'd be fun.
But yeah. Cool. Well, good. Beaves, you still doing leaders on Finding Your Way?
Yeah. Haven't really decided who I'm doing as my person this week.
I haven't decided who I'm doing this week either. I was hoping my wife. But
were there other options?
No, not at all. It's our
All right,
anniversary.
Well, then I guess you better not be trying to decide who it is.
No.
Well, there might be other options, but that would eradicate your wife from being one of them.
Right.
That's right. That's right.
Fair enough.
No.
Are you keeping track of the Stupid History Minute, St. Joe?
Yeah, you got #1 overall podcast, the Good Pods.
I know. Look at that.
He finally beat
took
the
the place
sword
over.
sword and the stone, or whatever they're called.
And the daily,
Yeah.
You think
I don't even know what the daily. What's the daily?
It's like like the top headlines.
Okay.
And like it's like 10 minutes long or 15 minutes long. It's like top headlines of the day. And I don't view it as an independent podcast. I view it as it's done by the Wall Street Journal.
Oh, nice.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So I don't view it as an indie podcast, but yeah, Sword and Spirit. It might last for a day, but I don't care. I got to screenshot it.
You got to get your badge.
Yeah, no shit.
Put your badge up there.
Yeah, motherfucking number one overall. Yeah,
that's right.
But you know what? I'm gonna do that right after here, because I'm tomorrow it's gonna be the Sword and Spirit. But there are if you look at the top 20, there are some great, just fabulous shows in there. I mean, even in just the top 100. So
Yeah.
to but I know, and I would say this to you guys, and I was going to say it off the air, but I'll say it on the air that there are. I'm not going to name any names because you guys know me, but there are some people that take those rankings very seriously, and I am usually not one of them. You guys know my personal thoughts on those things,
Yeah.
but to see something that I literally started as a joke, that I literally started as a joke,
Right.
and hasn't really, I mean, a little bit, but hasn't really changed since I started it. From, I mean, a little bit here and there, but not much. Um, to be able to get that screenshot, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
absolutely.
I thought, and I thank the network and the listeners and everybody that's shared and everybody in these retweet groups that I'm in and I think it pays anybody that gets into this. It pays to kind of not really so much sharing your podcast and what you have to say, but sharing your brand.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and getting it out there and what do you? I mean, if you look at the core of the Stupid History Minute, and if you know me, you're just like, has he ever cursed on that thing? And
Mm.
I have, but those are protected episodes. You have to
Yeah.
join the Spreaker Supporters Club to
Right.
to
Right.
to listen to those. But
Right.
um, yeah, I just thought it was a pretty cool thing.
No, I think it's great.
I feel like I haven't recorded an episode of the Stupid History Minute forever because I was so afraid that I couldn't talk. I wouldn't be able to talk after the surgery that I recorded like 3 months in advance.
Yeah. Well,
So I
You'll
feel
be
like
out
I
of
haven't.
practice.
Yeah, I
yeah.
feel like I haven't worked on one in a while.
Yeah.
So and I was just like, coming out, I'm like, how's the Sixth Sense a horror movie? I guess it's kind of scary,
Yeah.
but
More of a thriller, I guess, but
what's funny about the Sixth Sense is that
you see
the
dead people.
first time either three of us watched it, okay, we were totally floored. Nobody knew he was dead the whole time.
Right.
Spoiler alert. Nobody
Right.
knew he was dead the whole time. And we just thought that his wife was ignoring him for a year.
Yeah.
And that made more sense to us that
Right.
his wife was ignoring him
It
for a
did.
year,
Right.
So I mean, it's just weird.
Yeah. It's like Fight Club. The first time you see Fight Club, you're like, and then you watch it again, the whole reveal, and you're like, what? And then you watch the second time and you're like, this makes perfect sense.
Well, the
Mhm.
bad part about Fight Club is I read the book beforehand.
Yeah. Well, the
Yeah,
book is good
so
too.
yeah, the book
But yeah.
is excellent.
Yeah.
I read the book beforehand because it's a if you think the movie is a fuck the government movie, the book is really a fuck the
Oh,
government,
yeah. Yeah.
it really is.
Yeah.
But that was in my book reading phase
Yeah.
of, I wanted to be able to go to parties and tell people I was highly intelligent. And then I just figured out to do what St. Joe does and watch documentaries. And then
That's
you
right.
go to talk, talk about them. People think you read.
That's right. Yeah. Cliff Notes.
It's easy.
Who's
It's all
Cliff?
good.
Sorry.
It's all good.
Yeah, it's easy. You know what Cliff Notes are, don't you, Beeps?
Of course I do. That's how I got
Okay.
through college.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
They call them something different. I was in Barnes and Noble, and people that
Spark
don't
Notes?
know what Barnes and Noble is, that's a bookstore where you can buy books. And I always go in these bookstores to see if the stupid history books in there. And it wasn't. And but they had Sparks Notes. Yes.
Yep.
Spark Notes. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
what are you doing on Nailed It there, Chief?
So I keep promising my listeners that I'm going to get some guests on, and I'm hoping that I'm going to. I have a cool idea. I just need to get the people on, and yeah. So you're just going to have to listen to find out if it happens. But I can't reveal the cool idea because it wouldn't be fun. So
That's
yeah,
shitty.
I know, but it is what it is. They know the people that I've invited. have known what it's going to be about, and I think it's kind of for Halloween. I think it might be a two-parter because I think it'll be a really good conversation because there may be multiple people, and I think that it'll be good. But it will have a. I'll put it out there this way: it might have some sort of religious tone, so it may be something a little bit different than what I normally do. But it'll be. I think it'll be good.
We need to work on getting a guest for Halloween, and we only have ever one guest that's ever popped up around holidays.
I think we get Flat Earth again. We do something with Flat Earther.
One time, he was at Valentine's Day, and then another time,
There's a legend about him.
yeah, there is.
Oh, you like the pumpkin? Oh, yeah. Okay, I'll get you the pumpkin spice. Yeah, that would be. Yeah, we could figure that out.
You know,
He could tell us the favorite costumes. That would be hilarious.
that
He dropped off. I don't know.
would definitely have to put a explicit on there. You know, hey, what's your favorite costume? You know,
Yeah. He might.
know.
Hey, maybe he's hanging with P Diddy. Who knows?
Could be.
Yeah, but that'd be good. Yeah, but
Could
no,
be.
it's all good. It's all good. So
All right. What else?
nothing, man. Just
I
more.
need. I don't have anything else.
No.
No. What were you
No.
saying? You need to go to sleep?
Yeah, I need to go to bed.
Okay.
He's
All
back
right.
Not
in
to put a
school.
damper on the night.
He's back in school. No more hurricanes.
No more
No.
hurricanes. I got to get to work.
You have like
Yeah.
6 fucking days off.
No, I only had
And,
4. Duval had more than we did.
Yeah. Duval
Yeah.
got out, had Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, but then Monday was
It's all
a
good.
teacher
Well,
planning
good.
day.
Good to have you back, Keb.
Thanks, man. All right. So go
Yep.
check out our friends at unfpod.com. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go check those guys out. It's a bunch of good podcasts over there. And all right, if there's nothing else, I guess it's up to me to say for St. Joe, for Beebs, my name is Kev, and we'll catch you guys next week.
And catch you on the flippity flop.